And I'm here with my co-host,
DANK.
And we're here on the front lines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminadonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity for their own selfish reasons. How's it going, Tank?
Pretty good, pretty exciting day. Lots of stuff going on all over the place. And, I feel like the plan's coming together, man. What do you think?
Yes, Tesla's plan is coming together. Well, I really, more and more I'm convinced that this has to do with, not just, seeing the future through Operation Looking Glass. If you can think that that's real, it also says that same technology can teleport people through time. I think, it's been, I think that, that it was available for Tesla. Tesla did it when they first did one of his experiments. Matter. What do they call it? He called it energy something. Oh, I forgot what the name of it was. Anyway, when they first rebuilt it after Tesla's death, a guy basically got absorbed by it. They thought he was disintegrated. He ended up going someplace else. That he teleported someplace. So
really, wow.
So if Trump, John Trump, had access to time travel, I wonder if Julian Assange isn't John Trump. I mean, I'm just putting something out there,
Yeah, I get you spitting, man. I like it.
It could be something along those lines. It could be either John Trump or he could have be related in some way because they look at it because he's playing a key role and he just looks identical to John Trump. And then of course now JFK Jr. has the George magazine, which I did a lot of looking into today. Now I when I first heard about this theory that JFK Jr. was coming back because of the clues that were in QAnon, I said, oh, that's a pretty cool idea. And then there was a lot of people that said, well, maybe that's not quite true. Maybe that's just a lot of wishful thinking. And I said, it's possible. And this guy, Vincent Busca, I guess is how you say his name, but they claimed was him, right? He's appearing at the Trump rallies and that. And he didn't quite look like JFK. Now, I just was looking a little bit more into it. Now, someone showed some pictures of him at different events, and his nose is different, meaning that he's wearing makeup, right? Something to change his appearance. So, could it actually be that he really is JFK Jr.? It's possible. I don't know, but let me share my screen. Here, take a look at this. Share with the audience.
It definitely doesn't look like JFK Jr.
No, it doesn't at all. But what it does look like is this is the George magazine, right? And what it's talking about though is Survival Guide to the Future. But this is the cover.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Remember that.
Right. So good news, live forever. Right. Interesting. Love your job, right? And this right here says Bill Gates talks to John Kennedy about Murdoch money and world domination. Now, I don't know. Bill Gates seemed to be pretty prevalent right now about talking about world domination and basically, dominating, the idea that the population needs to be reduced through vaccines.
Oh yeah.
It also says here, can politically incorrect Bill Maher make it in the big time? Well, the question is he really going to make it any further? His show is declining. And then this one is great. Indictment Day. Will Hillary get busted? Then we have Carl Sagan's farewell address. And on this side, which has an exclusive inside story of Jimmy Carter's final days in office. And then the end of Social Security, what's broken and hard to fix. Okay. So anyway, that's the cover, right? And you got this, beautiful girl here. You've got a hole in the sky with, I just want to point out, there's this little kind of reflection down here in the corner that kind of makes it look like a Q. Might be stretching a little bit there, but there literally has a hole in the sky. Well, they got something over here. I initially thought it was the moon, but it's not. It's not the moon. It's kind of like a ball of light. And then you got Mount Rushmore, and this is not Mount Rushmore scenery, right? So this is kind of like buried in this sand, right, kind of thing. So anyway, this is the cover, but on the inside it looks like this. Platform 2020. Now, why would they say Platform 2020? A survival guide to the future. All right. Now, if you see on the left side on the upper part here, it's got this looks more like a flying saucer, and of course you've got the Mount Rushmore on the side, and you got a strange kind of object behind her. I can't quite make out what it is, but it's sort of a little bit. Well, is it? Yeah, I initially thought it was a building.
It's a perspective drawing on a building.
Okay, it could be, but
it's got one at the top.
Yeah. Okay.
It looks like to me.
Yeah, it could be. It could be.
That could be symbolic of something as well.
Yeah, but it's kind of got like it's kind of more triangular than anything, and it's got this shadow on this side. So, and it kind of looked like this is, a cutout of the building, so it didn't quite look exactly like a building to me. right? Because it looks like it's got this weird cutout. And it kind of gives it more of a
Oh
pyramid
yeah,
shape up here, right?
and there's a pyramid right there. It looks like.
Yeah, it's sort of pyramid. Yes. All right, and then we have this right here, which is a tower, a cell phone tower, 5G maybe.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely 5G. Wow.
All right, now we have some text here. Now it's kind of hard to pick this out right here, but let's go down to this one and let's see what it says. No politician ever lost a vote by invoking the future. You know our children deserve a better one. And Bill Clinton is building a bridge to a brighter. I can't quite make out what that says. Brighter one, brighter one. It's one. It's the most overused word in the political lexicon. Yet details are, as usually, sparse. What docs? What docs the future? What that docs maybe the future holds a new world of promise and or apocalypse.
Oh yeah. We launched, it looks like, and then to the millennium to find out on the other side. So, does it say puckle? Puckle. Oh,
Buckle your chin strap and hold on as George enters a time warp and reemerges in the year 2020.
Wow, that's pretty telling.
Yeah. So this one's a little bit easier to read down here at the bottom. So yeah, so that's why I kind of knew what the words were. But yeah, reemerges in the year 2020. So, this is kind of like if you built this book, this magazine, for the purpose of poking at the Bushes and the cabal, right? George, right? You killed my father, and I'm coming after you, right? That's what's behind here. He starts to run for Senate in New York, and then so does Hillary. His plane crashes, right? And his supposedly the bodies recovered are then cremated and put into this teal blue box, which is a special Chanel blue colored box of Chanel. So their ashes.
Tiffany color?
Oh, Tiffany. Yeah, I'm sorry. Why is it Chanel? Yeah, Tiffany colored box. That's right.
Yeah.
So this teal blue box, and then I saw in one of the videos I watched that when Melania, when she was coming to the White House for the first time and met with the Obamas, right? They brought this teal blue box as like and to give it to the Obamas. No idea what was in it, but kind of like here's a present for you. I mean, isn't it the other way around? Kind of the new occupants, you kind of give them a present instead of. But anyway, but she brought them a present, and so they're basically their ashes were put into this box, So just interesting, that these things. It just the story is too intriguing, right? And I think
Oh, it's fascinating. I mean, when I hear you talk about it, there's something there. There's definitely something.
Yeah. Well, let me. Well, before I'm going to show something, so I don't have to come back to the screen. I just found this was interesting too. Covfefe. Now we know what it actually means. Coronavirus plus iron and ferritin. Ferritin. So this is basic. So this is basically what Trump was mocking them with by saying this, and no one knew what it meant. Everyone was trying to figure it out. No one could imagine that this is what the people that are addicted to adrenochrome, when they switch to the synthetic adrenochrome, they got infected with coronavirus, and it gave him a particular disease that mimics AIDS. And if they take the cure for coronavirus, which is the malaria drug, this particular one has an iron deficiency, so it actually will end up killing them.
So they can't even take the cure.
They can't take the cure. Anyway, a little side note. let me switch around here. Switch the screens. Where we go? Yeah, no, lost exactly what I wanted to show. I think I closed that picture. Anyway, I just was going through this stuff just beforehand. So let me go ahead and show it to you now. So anyway, this is just really someone just talking about this same thing, right? Exactly what is JFK's fascination with Mount Rushmore? Being the park is located in Keystone, and is on the cover of George magazine in 1997. He could have something very monumental in mind. So Keystone.
Oh, monumental, yeah.
So. Yeah, it's kind of hard to pick out, what exactly is this talking about? Because it's now I was thinking, it's JFK, Trump, and JFK Jr. all now appear on there with the other four presidents. It's
right.
That'd be like an upcoming future, but that's a little bit in the future. But let's see. Look at this. So this is like the George magazine covers, right? Here's Trump, right? So it says the secret behind Trump's political fling. So it's interesting, right? I think this is the first cover right here. This is like George with the woman. Dressed up like George Washington. Now, was he saying? I wonder. Is he saying that George H.W. Bush was actually a woman? I don't know. Yeah.
That's that's a very interesting idea. Yeah.
It's a stretch, But anyway, I'm just free flowing with some ideas here. All right. But it's an interesting magazine. I really never got into it when it was out. I was aware of it, but I really didn't get into it at all. And just more about more on this was what I just found it was interesting that it seems like maybe there's a little bit more to it. I started watching some videos yesterday, and that's when I saw that Vincent and I ever say his name. Vusko his nose was different. I said that's definitely not the same nose. That means he is wearing makeup. So why is a guy wearing makeup? Makeup's not.
Well, yeah,
not really.
We're wearing like Play-Doh makeup or whatever it's called.
Yeah, whatever. It's like prosthetic makeup. I don't know.
Yeah.
So you're literally wearing a mask, right, to hide who you are. So. And he does look goofy in that setup. He does stand out. And the woman that's standing next to him does look like JFK's wife. So I'm just I'm. It does make sense. The people that made I watched one of the videos. She said, to bring out all this link about adrenochrome, the keystone, right, which is what we're finding out that the keystone really is what connects all of the cabal together, is they all are taking the adrenochrome. That's their keystone. They're all connected by way of that. And since they infected it with the virus, really actually created a marker that they can't run from. Right? They're identified now. Just like Bill Gates is trying to identify us with a nanotechnology digital certificate inside the vaccine, so that they can GPS track us, right? And identify us. They're now identified. And so now it's number one, they're all dying, right? So no matter what,
Right.
they die. Now I don't know if they're all taking it. I don't know if they're all infected. They're all taking the synthetic or not. But the idea or the reason why they shut down the border, and then Trump was saying this today. He says the border's already shut down to a trickle. I don't know how many miles they already have built. I don't know. Last count was a couple months ago was 125 miles, but they were doing. They must have got another 50 or 100 miles done already. So they're at 250 miles, halfway done, and it gets harder and harder to cross. So they've shut that down. They've sent the Navy to the Caribbean, right, for a major overtaking. Saying you're not coming into this country with drugs, right? So they're going after them on that basis. It just seems like that this plan is coming together, that they are all just going to be dying, and they're all going to be, the children are going to be brought up. And is this happening today? Is this like the beginning? We're still, a week, not quite a week, but away from Easter. So it's just, for me, it's the 7th. For you, it's the 6th. So, five more days before we, are we going to find it 4 more days? Is this the 3 days of where it's really going to start? They're going after the last refuges of them, and then they're going to reveal this. I really hope that they do. This cannot be kept silent during this time. It has to be brought out.
Yeah, it's weird. There's 2 plans playing out, at least 2. I mean, if not more, right? Simultaneously, So because you have Bill Gates, who's front and center at this point, basically saying, "Look, we need to kill more people off." Right? I mean, he's not even hiding it. Right? Sid put together a clip today of Bill Gates talking, and he's describing a virus that will be spread, via our computers, right, into us, that will cause respiratory, failure. And he's talking about this, I don't know when this was, obviously sometime before the coronavirus came on the scene, right? So the coronavirus at this point, it seems to anybody paying attention, even halfway, you don't have a mock, pandemic right before, in September.
Right.
and all of a sudden it really happens, right? It's like
with the same virus, with the same virus.
With the same virus, right?
Right.
Yeah. Selling pandemic bonds with like 6 different viruses. One of them is corona. And all these different things they've done. It's such a train wreck. It's like, come on. Everybody should be, appalled by this right now, right? You have, this is being completely underplayed. This Professor Lieber, who actually worked at Wuhan lab for 9 months of the year, right? And then he came back to Harvard, and he got basically he didn't disclose certain information. He was, there's something to do with him, taking, biologics back and forth, right? There was a whole briefing by the Department of Justice, I think, or the Department of Defense, and it's not on the news anywhere. Nobody's talking about it. And that was sent to me directly from somebody, working in Trump's cabinet. So I know it's important, and nobody's talking about it.
Yep. Yeah, I know. It's another one. I think that I'm going to put on a very conspiratorial focus on this and say I think they let him carry the virus back to Wuhan, and they had contaminated it before, not initially with the the wrong way of putting it. They swapped out it's for a coronavirus that was not so lethal, basically benign, which is what we have, a benign version. I think that the death rate on this is going to go down to like 0.002.
Right.
It's going to be so low.
I'm trying not to feed into the 5G hype, you know.
Yeah.
But my guys, one of my guys went out to Jones Beach here on Long Island and was measuring big towers that run along the South Shore. And he said that his meter didn't go high enough to measure the whatever the frequencies are, right?
No, I think that I think that the idea of using this as a weaponized platform is valid. I think that in order to make people feel sick, right? That they feel sick, not that they are sick from the coronavirus, but they feel sick. They're already infected, but they don't feel sick. But the 5G makes them feel sick, makes it seem worse because, as I said before, the problem with all the biological warfare is that they can't get a virus that's really deadly that spreads quickly. That's the main problem, right? They always have a problem. Aerosol has a problem if there's aerosol, or if it's if it's by touch, it's another issue. Will it last long enough if you do? So all these issues, but when they make it for one thing, it doesn't work to kill people, right? So they counterweight. But if they can masquerade the whole pandemic with 5G waves making people feel sick, right? While they test positive for coronavirus, they say, "Oh, it must be the coronavirus," right? It's just a way of convincing people that they're dying from this, but the 5G is what made them feel ill. But again, only the people that are dying are in their 80s.
Well, 70s and 80s. Now, and think about what they did, right? So you have people that are in hospice, people that are in, elderly care homes, right? Nursing homes, right? And now I've talked to quite a few firemen at this point, EMTs, and they're telling me that all of their calls, all of them, are to these elderly care homes, right? Now, elderly care homes, right, are, they get some kind of, they're basically taking their Medicaid or whatever it is, their Medicare, check, right, to pay for it.
Right.
So now, and they're notoriously just, like nobody wants, to be honest, nobody I know ever wants to end up in one of these facilities, right?
Right.
Because nurses are abusive sometimes, and all types of horror stories you hear. And I don't know how much that's true, but I don't know. I can't imagine that it's, it happens, especially when you have people suffering with dementia. People, tend to be more, they know they're going to forget it, right? So, but they said that, all their calls are going to elderly care. Now, to stay in these homes, it's required. It was required for them to take the flu shot, and it wasn't just the flu shot that we know already presents a 36% increase in you testing positive for the coronavirus, right? But they gave them the highest dose, which is a double dose of the regular flu shot, right? And they did this, and what they said is it's to stimulate or to agitate the immune system to force it to respond, which doesn't really make sense when you have people that are already immunocompromised because of pharmaceuticals they're on, because there's all types of protocols that they're on, right, for blood pressure and cardiovascular disease and all types of things, right? And so now you have the elderly, and they're being blasted, right? They all got drugged. This, in my opinion, like if it's recorded accurately, I think this will go down as, really a tragic genocide on the elderly.
Yeah.
I really think that's who has been targeted. And it is, when you think about it, it's like, well, what are the reasons you have? Every place you went here in the U.S., they were pushing the flu shot everywhere. And even now, even though this was a military study that was done, okay? So it's not, so you can imagine how thorough the military is, right, in the research. It wasn't done kind of haphazardly. This is a military study that shows it was 36% increase, and I think that number is light, So it's kind of scary when you think about it. It's like, so we forced our elderly population to, at very least, at very least, our elderly population who are in, like hospice care and other places like that, right? To kill them off faster.
Right.
That's what the medical, medical monster has done, right? Now that has to be called into question at some point with this. Like, can we just take a step back?
Trump said today. He said that they're looking into suing China. India already has. We covered that yesterday, right? So they're suing them in the World Court in The Hague. So this is something that is underway anyway. Right, so why not Trump join in with India, then Britain will join in, and then really it comes down to China can't continue the way they've been going, which means the Chinese Communist Party will end up dying, because even their people won't be able to put up with it, because they don't want to go back to not being productive. They don't want to kill off all their smart people again.
Right. Well, there is going to. I mean, I don't see how this can be avoided of actually discussing, because you have the Harvard professor Lieber, right, who spent 9 months of the year in Wuhan, right, working in that lab, whose expertise is in nanites. You have another Chinese researcher out of North Carolina, and I forget where it was. It's in North Carolina, where the virus was identified, right? And they developed it, and they were doing experiments to make it stronger, right? So that was happening here. That's why China is saying, trying to blame the U.S., right? So there's some legs to that at the point. But really, it was a collaborative effort between, the underbelly of the deep state on both sides, both China and the U.S.
Right.
Working together to basically force and impose a pandemic. Now, Kim told me this over a year ago, that these biological weapons that they were going to use on the people were reverse engineered to
reverse
their blood type.
They were reversed. They were engineered to be reversed to go after Chinese.
Right, but I think they identified, I don't know if it was just the Chinese.
It's a northern Chinese.
Yeah.
It's the northern Chinese males, actually.
Right.
That have
so
that
they ran their tests to see how it would go, and I still think what's actually out there with the coronavirus. Thomas reported this the other night about how there was a more aggressive strand that they were trying to sneak in from Venezuela.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then Trump talked about shutting down something from Venezuela, right?
Right.
And he's talking about the virus, right? Because if that would have come in, it would have turned into a real pandemic, right? Right now, we just have basically the death rates, the other numbers I saw today, that heart attacks, strokes are down 40%, right? All of a sudden, people aren't dying from heart attack and stroke? What?
Oh, it's the coronavirus cured them of heart attacks and strokes, but killed them with the the coronavirus.
Right. Matter of fact, the hospitals are reporting they have many empty beds, right, that they normally don't have. They're more full. So as much as they're saying it's chaos and crazy, most hospitals aren't reporting that, right? Now, if you shut down enough hospitals and you direct the flow to one hospital or two hospitals, right, of course you're going to have that, right?
Sure.
You have more doctors staying home, you have more nurses staying home, right? You're going to have that. But we also know that they reported completely fake. They had on the 23rd of March they ran, the emergency room in Italy, right? And then they used the exact same footage to say it was Elmhurst, right? So, it's just I'm just like, and when you put all these things together, it's like, how are you going to say these things are all just coincidence? These are just conspiracy theories. No, they're not. These are facts that we're backing up with evidence, showing you, here it is, look, right in front of you. Sit with that video out today, and it shows them side by side.
Yeah.
Side by side, you see what ran on the 23rd in Italy, and the exact same emergency room in Elmhurst, allegedly, which obviously it wasn't, right?
Right. Well, I think actually both ABC and CBS ran that same footage. So they're all like following just to make it seem like that there's that the hospitals are filled with and they're chaotic and there's just to spread fear. That's all it's about.
So now I got something else today too. So I talked about the what is the Samaritan Purse, which is down in Central Park. They've got all these tents set up, right? And they're, we got different reports. One saying, they're putting out publicly that they're there for the coronavirus. The other one is saying that they're pulling kids out from underneath Central Park, right?
Okay.
This Wonderland, is actually New York, right? And it's really the, torture dungeon underneath New York, right? And if they're pulling these kids up, and we're hearing all types of reports. Now, all these reports are ghost reports, right? So in other words, you can't verify who they are, where they came from,
right?
Who's saying it, right? No one's allowed to talk about these things, right? Allegedly. Now, I think that first of all by itself on the surface is
suspect.
The absolute wrong way to handle it, right? Yeah. Because as gruesome or brutal as it might be, you're going to have to make that stuff known.
Right.
That's one. Number two, so I talked to this guy, Ben Graham. That's Billy Graham's son. Now, we all associate Billy Graham with some pretty nefarious activity, right?
Yeah.
But Ben Graham, I talked to him today, and because he's associated with this. So he's connecting us. Now, he told me that he's been to the White House 28 times in the past year. And that there's roundtable meetings that happen at the White House, there with President Trump, with all of these major groups, he said, that are working on the human trafficking, right? And then he kind of, politely, I don't think he was being rude, but he's kind of like, the smaller groups doing stuff too, it's great, They're kind of throwing us a bone, right? And I thought to myself, what are these bigger groups doing?
Right.
What's happening? Because I don't see anything really of any significance because, we're the ones that gave the intel out to get Epstein arrested. So how much bigger are they than that? But anyway, so he's connecting us, right, to get us invited to be able to go to the White House and sit at these committees and participate and contribute, right? And I hope that happens. I hope we actually, make the cut, I guess,
Yeah, it would be amazing.
But what's interesting to me is I keep thinking to myself, like, please give me a chance to sit there in front of somebody in authority and ask them what the hell they're doing when there's, James Beal, this 2-year-old out of Illinois, is dead, and Sasha is, the 4-year-old, maybe she's 5 now, the 4-year-old is still in the custody of the abusive rapist father who had a computer full of child porn. And the judge knew it, put an order of protection against the father and the grandfather, and still gave custody away. How is that possible?
Right.
I mean, we have to ask these questions. This is not okay. What authority does this judge have to take this woman's children and give them back to the abusive rapist husband, who's an admitted rapist?
Right.
The whole hard drive is turning. Who's investigating it?
Why is CCP still operational?
Right. Why?
Just shut it down for investigation.
So
if there's no problem, then okay, great. But it needs to be shut down. They're too suspect. There's enough evidence that this is a systemic problem. You can't just have them having authority over kids. Taking them away from parents because there's a profit motive for them to do so.
Now, and I'll say this too. The biggest cases get taken down by a single piece of evidence, right? Now, we have cellular devices, right, that are still active, that were hacked by the DHS, like the Department of Human Services, or, like down south, right, that are still actively, what happened is they made a mistake, and it's reversing the information. So instead of monitoring their information, they're getting all the information, right? So their whole their history shows what they're doing, right? So they know the websites they're going to traffic the kids, right? We know the routes they're going, right? We have the amounts they're spending. We know that they're selling arms, and we have all this on live devices. It's still active, right? Matter of fact, I had to send people down to pull the information out and put it somewhere where nobody knows where it is. So we pulled that information. So I'm fascinated because I'm thinking to myself, well, these guys, who I talked to today, he's connected, and there's big groups doing stuff. I'm like, there's big groups doing stuff, really? Because wouldn't it seem like they would have contacted us? Because it's not like I've hidden this, right? I've said we had this information. I've reached out. I mean, I have connections with people that do stuff, get stuff done, right? And I'm like, I've gotten people promoted to general and all that stuff just by the information we share, right? So there's nobody who's more in the trenches of this than Michelle Walker.
Right.
Michelle Walker she's pulled information from everywhere. She's got Nancy Schaefer's entire plan on how to reconstruct Child Protective Services so it actually protects our kids, right? Things like that, or I don't know if she has it, but she's talked about it. That's something that she wants to do. I think that somebody else has got to be the way. She can get access to it when it's time, right? And things like that. So it's like there's things out there. People have died for this. What are these groups doing? And with all due respect, and I don't want to take away from what they're doing, and maybe I'm just much more out of the loop than I realized, but I don't know how it could be. I don't know how out of the loop we could be, because I know for a fact, I was told, right, the information that we shared was actionable. That's why they were able to track down Epstein, right, because the information we shared on the forum. So, what are they doing? Because to me, this isn't even hidden, right?
Yeah.
This is just known. But because your sheriffs and all your police force, your FBI, they're all in on this massive, horrible, soul-crushing, child trafficking and human trafficking, all sorts, I guess. It's like, how is that even a thing that we're still dealing with as a race of people, right? That there's these groups that have met with President Trump 28 times. Are you kidding me? If we were meeting with President Trump 28 times, you know what the first meeting would have been about? First of all, here, you want to stop child trafficking? Defund Child Protective Services. They're more dangerous than Planned Parenthood.
Right. Then you can do Planned Parenthood.
And then restructure it and make it so you can never again have a grant that is incentivized or contingent upon you violating the constitutional rights of the people.
Yeah.
How is that even? It's just amazing to me. That's the thing. It's incredible.
How can it possibly be? Except that we know that it's been designed to be as awful as it could imagine it can be, right? Because they want to make sure that every sort of pain is put upon the people, every sort of torture, every sort of anguish, everything just to bring us down, right? To lose hope, so that they can feed more, right? So they're feeding on, there's the loosh energy, however that thing works, doesn't matter. It's the rest of it that comes in to play, right? This the adrenochrome, the adrenalized blood, right? Just it's remarkable that how deep it is that we have people like Robert David Steele saying, "Oh, pedophilia is just about child love. It's not about abuse." I mean, that's a thing. That what he can just go out there and say that, and then have all these other religious leaders next to him, like, for legitimacy. No, you need to be arrested. You need to go down. All right, you're trying to soft pedal pedophilia as just love of children, which sounds good if you just love children, but not have sex with them. That's not love. That's sex. That's sexing children. So no, Robert David. So you are a criminal.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Take him down along the way. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of other things that he's been involved with.
I mean, they make a mockery of human existence, you know. To have this former CIA agent, who we all know, I mean, look, the CIA, first of all, you know, on some level, people have got to take this seriously, you know, enough to do research, right? Like go to the CIA.gov website and go to the CIA library. There is something like 13 million declassified documents that were released like 3 years ago. And in that, you see whole references to the shadow government that exists in the CIA with their own military, with their own Air Force. It talks about it, right? It talks about, you know, MK Ultra. It talks about how they used our schools to, you know, for mind control, right? How they used LSD on soldiers and orphans, you know, to see if they could use that as a tool. I mean, all these things, you know, when you realize it, right, and you realize it's not just a movie, you know, and I think movies, that's one, you know, I love movies, but, you know, it's amazing when you think about it. It's almost like movies have just made us numb to the reality. You know, like, this is really happening. So even when you talk about September 11th, right, now you have this right now with September 11th, where you have a grand jury call, right, looking at 57 pieces of evidence that show unequivocally, irrefutably, that this was an inside job, right? You have a lawsuit filed against, you know, I'm not sure if it's the FBI or I think it's the FBI, that shows, and there's 118 pieces in total, 57 pieces have been accepted, which that's a lot of evidence, right? And it's irrefutable. There's no explanation for it scientifically. You know, there's, you know, all types of compounds are found in the buildings around the towers that have nothing to do with building materials, right? They're explosive materials,
yeah,
right? You know, the mission control for, you know, the CIA, the FBI, the NSA all ran out of Building 7. You know, there's so much evidence to back this up, right? There's so much evidence that it's amazing. The people, you know, the tagline for September 11th is never forget. Like, really, it seems like, well, we definitely forgot, right? And when you think about it, it's like this is a real lawsuit that's been accepted by the second highest court in the, you know, I don't know, the corporate government, I guess, right? And there's a real grand jury that's called, you know, that has deliberated on this, right? And there's definitely people that will be, you know, should be indicted for this, right? Now, how does that happen? And you say that we have any law whatsoever? You know, this whole thing is just a sham.
yeah.
You know.
I'm ready to move past this and get into the hard part, which is coming with when we start revealing to everybody. Let's move to that stage now, because it's going to require a lot of you know, hand holding for those people to get them up to speed. Right? They're going to be freaking out. And they're going to be calling for blood. You know, these people are not going to be safe walking down the street.
Well, you know, first of all, they shouldn't be walking down the street, right?
Right.
They've committed acts of treason against all of humanity. They've committed crimes against humanity. You know, in the court system in California, George W. Bush was actually tried for crimes, or George H.W. Bush was tried for crimes against humanity. But that never makes the news, right? So I'll say this again to everybody out there listening who might have access. Please tell President Trump to let me report on these things that are going on in Central Park or wherever. Somebody has got to be authorized to come out and tell the truth, who knows what's going on.
Well,
and
that's citizen journalism, right? They put these other two people out there for doing the trials at Gitmo, right, to see the military tribunals. So there could be, citizen journalists that's already involved going down in the underground facilities and rescuing those kids, showing it.
Yep.
Yeah. It should be.
I think you should grab Dan Bongino. Grab him too. That's a good guy to get down.
Yeah, that's a good guy. Yeah, you could have him in front of you.
That would be my dream come true, to be able to work with Dan Bongino and go check this stuff out. I mean, not that I want to see that necessarily, but look. And by the way, I'm not some weird, like I don't want to see. I'm not looking forward to seeing this. I'm just willing to do it because somebody has to. These stories have to be told, right? And it has to be told in such a way that there's still room for people to heal, because if I understand this correctly, this course in history, some version of this has happened 6 times. And we end up basically destroying ourselves because everyone's so mad, no one can trust anyone, because, you realize the government officials that you thought you elected into office, right? And all these people that you admire, are child rapists and pedophiles and feeding on your children, right? And as much as, a lot of times what happens is you have kind of people in the, well-to-do kind of a crowd, right? They think that only happens to people that are bad parents, right? But it's not true. Everybody gets targeted, right? And so you think about what's happening in New York right now. Now, in New York, right now, they're basically saying, like Cuomo, we know that if Corona is real, that this treatment for malaria, has 100% success rate so far, right? In many cases, the study's done. It's gotten rid of the virus. Well, he won't let the doctors prescribe it.
Yeah.
So imagine, you have a virus that has been you're told it's deadly, and your governor will not let you have it.
Yeah. That's why we're going to see this push for the hydroxy chloroquine being used as medicine to solve like major problems in the world, such as Boris Johnson. Right? He's gone into intensive care. I think he's going into intensive care, and he's going to be cured with hydrochloroquine. So I think that we're going to see those things. I wanted to just say one more thing for the people that didn't see yesterday. We talked about Robert David Steele. I just want to play this before we move past this. This is 8 seconds. And it's the only 8 seconds you'll ever need to know about Robert David Steele.
Let me say that although pedophilia, which says child love, has nothing to do with the abuse of children.
That's it. You don't need to know anything else.
Anything else. You don't need to know anything else. The fact that he's garbage.
Yeah, no, that's the path. He's been working this for over a year with this International Tribunal on Natural Justice, supplanting another effort by citizens that created a court to do the same thing, bring attention to this, and they actually served arrest warrants on the Pope, right? And stopped him from going to a Ninth Circle ceremony to sacrifice a child. While he was headed to it, they served him. Then they tried to arrest him, but his security prevented it. But these were, real average people taking a stand to stop this insanity, right? But he's come out, Robert David Steele's come out to basically direct things away from the elite, right? Here's another path. Oh, pedophilia. Oh, he was just a pedophile. He wasn't eating the children.
Right. Trying to child love, right? I got to tell you, this whole thing, it reminds me of this, eerily, of this story in Manhattan of this, I can't remember, I'm sure someone else knows, but I believe it was 14th Avenue in Manhattan, many, many years ago. There was a serial killer, right, who was also a cannibal, and also, like a rapist of some sort, right? And there was a man who escaped this cannibal in Manhattan. And he was running down the street covered in blood, buck naked, right? And he's screaming for help. And he's running down the street, and he's being chased by this serial killer, right? And it's at night, like dinner time or something. Now, it used to be everybody would have their blinds open, right? So you could walk down the street in New York at this time, and I've seen streets like this, so that's why I'm saying it as if I was there, but I wasn't. But you can walk down the street and you can look in the windows of all these people, right? And people were kind of open about, hey, we're having dinner, And so he's running down the street screaming, and as people went down the street, the blinds on all the townhouses just closed, right? Because they decided that it was a lover's quarrel, and it was none of their business, right? So they didn't get involved. So that man ended up getting dragged back, killed, eaten, I guess. And, later on I was like, why didn't you do anything? And everybody's response was like, well, it wasn't my problem. I didn't think I should get involved. And everyone had the same excuse. Now, here we are in this really, what I compare to a tragic calm, right? A tragic calm is, when you have a medical condition that's bothering you and it's painful, right? Now, pain is something that is your friend, right? Because pain is there to let you know something is wrong. Now, if you don't do anything to correct the problem and the pain goes away, you should go to the hospital, right? So I tried to common example would be you have I knew a guy this happened to, and he had a hernia. So his intestine popped through his muscle, right? And it was very, very painful all the time, right? And then he never got it fixed. And then one day it just stopped hurting. And he just went about his life, right? Didn't hurt anymore. Now, he never questioned what happened. But what happened is the muscle healed. And when it healed, it ended up tightening up and severing the intestine, which made him toxic or septic. Yeah. And he died from it, right? But he didn't die in pain because it was a tragic calm. There was a major problem. You were dying, and he didn't even know. Right. So I really feel that you kind of have a situation, like that now. You have all these doors are shut, and people don't. It doesn't even occur to them to come out and do anything, right?
So what?
So that and
what happens if that was a child covered in blood running down the street, being chased by someone?
Right. They probably would have chalked it up to parenting.
Yeah.
Who am I to tell somebody how to discipline their kid? And this is the error in the horrifying nightmare of politically correct psyops, right?
Right.
The political correct movement is a psyops, right? This is what the cabal does. They're very big on etiquette, right? And civilized etiquette. So you could do anything, but you have to speak about it in a way that's not offensive, right? Now that's their MO, right? That's what they're always.
Robert David Steele. I was still offended, but so many people would just let that slide because they were listening about what he just rolled into, right? Mm-hmm. One sentence about the soft pedaling of the pedophilia, and then the next 10 minutes about all of these horrific things, right? Where pedophilia is the gateway drug to the rest of that.
Right.
And it's like, no, you gotta like listen to what people are saying. Listen to Bill Gates saying we're going to use vaccines to control population, and you just don't clap. Yeah, good. We're controlling the population. How? Through vaccines. Well, what does that mean? You take a shot,
Right.
and then there's less people. How does that happen? What does that mean? You either die, or you're no longer able to have children. That's the only two conclusions.
Right. I mean, and when you think about these statements that are made repeatedly over and over again until we're numb to them, until everyone agrees that we need to control the population, they all think we're overpopulated. But it's just not true. We are not overpopulated, not even close.
No, not even close. And CO2 is not a pollutant. If we had more CO2, we'd live longer because there'd be more oxygen. The plants would grow bigger.
Well, exactly. And the soil is 60% depleted of carbon dioxide, right?
And
so imagine,
and the Republicans put out a wonderful plan to sequester CO2. Plant 1 trillion trees. Trillion is a very big number. That's a lot of CO2.
Trees, come on.
Well, but it's a great.
They love these big numbers. They just throw them out there. They mean nothing. Yeah.
Well, the goal would be great. Getting there is another point. Maybe after 100 years, I don't know how long it would take to get to 1 trillion trees. But the whole idea is, if you really want to talk about a way of handling things, you don't talk about getting rid of fossil fuels that run everybody's life and allow everyone to prosper. Right? You come up with the other systems, like here, plant trees that take CO2 out of the atmosphere. Great. And it also provides wood, oxygen.
Oh yeah, wood too. Yeah,
fruit.
Yeah, a million things. And and our oxygen levels are depleted by like 30% in the air, right? So we would actually be bigger. We would be more, probably think more clearly as well, right? If we just had enough oxygen.
Yeah.
Right.
I think part of this lower CO2, the lower oxygen level, is really a part of terraforming. That they want less oxygen because they're not comfortable with it.
Right, you're right. You're right about that. That is actually true. I guess the reptilians or whatever, they want a lower oxygen level in the air. Yep.
Yeah. So our natural, if we want more oxygen, we need to add more CO2.
Yeah, that's exactly, and that is so. This, all these things, and I get, and I'm really hopeful. I'm really hopeful that that I get the opportunity to actually be there, with whoever is running these meetings, at the White House. I hope the president's there, and I hope I get to talk to him. And I hope I get a chance to actually speak up. And and I'll tell you what, I hope I choose the right words, because who knows if I'll ever have a chance like that again, right? Who knows if I'll ever have a chance like that, period, right? But I'm hopeful, right? I'm hopeful. So I'm thinking about this, and I'm just like, there's so many things that are just absolutely ridiculous. Why are we continuing to allow them to happen? Right? It's not a matter of well, you got to play the political game. No, you don't. You're talking about criminals who are killing people, right? Doing things intentionally to poison people. That's not something that you need to, you don't even need to take that to court. If you caught somebody poisoning your child and you killed them, it's justified, right? Because the danger is imminent. And because the danger is imminent, you're justified. Self-defense, right? You're defending your child. Or self-defense or whatever it's called. Well, this is happening every single day. And even if their hands aren't directly the ones doing it, they're authorizing it, they're justifying it, they're lying to people, they've created massive structures that perpetuate lies against everyone. So at some point, it's like, how long does this go on before? And because this right here, you had, I guess the 5G towers, some of them were burned down in Texas, they were burned down in Alabama, they were burned down in the UK, right? Because they think that people are catching on. It's the towers that make people sick, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Or that's the belief,
Yeah.
So
well, it is radio wave and microwave radiation. Radiation can make you sick. It depends upon the frequency. right? Any kind of wave that's hitting you, if it hits the right resonance to you, can actually harm you. Right? It's just physics. So can they tune it in? Can they transmit data into you if you have nanites in your brain? So wow, I don't need to have my cell phone anymore. How great is this? I can just listen right out of my ears and hear someone.
Right.
I can talk to them. I can talk to the collective.
Yeah, I can receive infinite knowledge from the board.
Yeah, it's and great. Hey, I'll sign up, right? But then, what's the trade-off, and who are you working with, right? Who's protecting you in this? The government, the one that sold you out, the one that's eating your children. They're complicit in this. The whole system is corrupted. You can't trust this kind of power in the hands of a government. It's even I dare say I would say having even them in charge of the financial side is a problem, but
Well,
the private side is not doing too well right now. So it's good that they're going to be worldwide taking out the central banking system.
Yeah, I've been saying that same thing. And I've been for 2 years. I've been saying the money for all funding, not just project funding, money for all funding needs to come in through the people. And people now, and I actually figured out how to do this, right? Because if you were to set up the county assemblies in every single county in the country, right? Now, every one of those counties has a moderator, a scribe, a communications officer, and a treasurer. Now, because they have a treasurer and the assembly is actively participating in government, they can decide if the money for that county came in to the treasurer for the assembly, they could decide and say, this is what we're going to use money for schools, for roads, for, to improve the education system, to, build a big sculpture, whatever, right? They could decide as a collective, right? We're all going to agree this was going to be done, right? Now, if you did it that way, then your sitting corporate government officials, would they have the same attitude? Would they be so belligerent and arrogant about the way they're operating? Of course not. You control their money now. You suddenly the people are in a completely different position. The people are now in a position of power, right? But it still requires agreement, right? And it requires that we all work together to come to a common agreement, right? That we all have a voice. We can all talk about it.
Yeah.
We can make our case and come to a consensus and take action based on that, right? Now, when I brought this up to some people, they thought that was crazy. But it's like, why? Why would we continue to fund these different government groups which have done nothing but steal? They've done nothing but perpetuate war. They have a whole secret societies, secret militaries, secret agencies, secrets from each other about their secrets, right? And they've used it all to weaponize everything against us. Somebody told me this the other day. One of our people who was speaking to someone who worked for some agency, and they basically had told them it was maybe 10 years. I think Michelle Walker. She's always talks to interesting people, and I think she was talking this. They said that they weaponized everything against us.
Yeah.
So our phones are for communication, right? Talk to our loved ones. It's a weapon against us, or it was. Right? So it can reverse the flow. Money is a weapon against us. The planet is a weapon against us, right? Our own children, right, end up being used against us, right? Our families, our spouses, our parents, everything. They've weaponized everything that is wholesome and good and beautiful about being human.
Yeah.
Now, who do we think is going to fix that, right? If people are being attacked, it's the people that have to change it, right? And that requires the people to figure out, what do we got to do? So that's why, and I recommend doing this in not just here in the U.S., but in every country in the world, everybody should be doing what we're doing. You should be establishing your local assembly, your state assembly, your county assembly, and you should be bringing people together, because where our strength is when we stand together. Because they have all the abundance in the world with money. It means nothing compared to the abundance of people, of human life force energy, because all the money they have came from that. You know? So hopefully we spark a movement, man. Hopefully we do. Try it.
I think it's already sparked. It's an interesting word, spark. I was actually using it yesterday in a form for marketing. Spark. It meant really to spark someone to do something. So
that's good.
Yeah. So the movement is sparked. I mean, we see it's like we have this. It's kind of like we're all sequestered at home. We only have the internet. We have time to study. We have time to look into these things. We can't go anywhere, and and the censorship on Google is gone. So things are making it out. You know, things that wouldn't have made it out just 2 months ago. So now, what is happening is going to really spread around the world. This is not just, going to be swept under the rug. This is all coming out. It's what the plan says, right? It's about preparing the people so that they can know. And Trump says this will be, horrific 2 weeks, and we're just getting into this. I think we're gonna see this start coming out. I don't know if it's on the 11th or the 13th or but we're gonna see this is really going to be revealed, and your friends are going to be upset. Your friends are not going to know what to do with themselves, and we're going to have to get them up to speed. And let them know.
So what does that look like, Dan? I mean, what do you think that looks like?
Well, getting them up to speed?
No, I mean, okay, like what you're referring to, like be let's be. So what do you think is going to happen? They're going to start reporting, like, for example, I'm dead serious. Actually, it looks like there's a possibility this could happen.
Yeah, I think
I could actually go down and report on what's happening. And I was told to go at night, even. So is it possible that they just let me go down and I go down and start filming this and see them pulling kids out?
Yeah.
And we start really having conversations about it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Because by the time that we're making it around, right, that it's breaking to the rest of the world, when we're having 500,000 hits, views on this, people looking at there, everyone's talking about it. That's about the time that Trump is going to be invoking the emergency broadcast system and giving his Kennedy speech or his Eisenhower speech against the military-industrial complex or against the invisible enemy. It'll be his invisible enemy speech. I haven't been talking about a virus in the traditional sense of the coronavirus. I've been talking about a virus on humanity. And when he's going to give this speech, he's going to really have to go into some horrific details. And it's going to really reveal to people, some horrible stuff that they're not going to be able to accept. They're going to be in denial, and it's going to be 80% of the people, because even the people that know what we're talking about and kind of been listening in, even if they partly believe that something is going on, they're going to deny it. They're not going to be able to accept it because it's too bad. It's too horrific. Because we all stood by and let it continue, right?
Right.
And so it's like, what did we do wrong? Why me?
We know that they have been creating human hybrids, right, with animals and things like that, right, and all types of experimentation, which I would not be surprised if that's something that you'll see potentially could be revealed, right?
Well, I just heard today on one of the videos that one of the things they put in the vaccines is a mouse DNA, that
Yeah.
that it's been converted into a human. The mouse was infected with human DNA, or created, so it has human DNA, and then they put this mouse into this vaccine. Why do we need to be vaccinated against mice humans?
Mice humans. Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't,
That's scary.
there's something else going on there, right? They're doing something to us. It's not about
Yeah, I mean the
protection.
all the stuff with the vaccine. I mean, there's so many things. There's a complete fetal bovine, right? That they pull the calf out of the cow and they grind it up into a plasma type substance, I guess, right? And put that in the vaccines. The mice, and you remember this happened. They grew a human ear on the back of the mouse,
Right.
right? Showing, just showed they could do it, right?
Yeah.
And how that grew in, right? Like, so there's all these things like that they've been doing right in front of our eyes.
But when
Right?
when they transplanted that ear, right, onto a human, then the human
Yeah.
always wanted to eat cheese.
Even stupid.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't resist.
Oh, okay. That's how it went down. Huh?
That's how it went down. Yeah.
That was a good one, Dan. That was a good one.
I want some cheese.
Yeah. So I don't know. So I'm just looking at all this. So I guess that's the question. Like, so what do you? So potentially, look, I'm gonna push the envelope of this and try to, bring out some of this information. I'm gonna try. Like we've had success in getting information that no one else had.
Yeah.
We've been very fortunate in that way, right?
Yeah.
And,
Bring your badge.
Yeah, no, my badge, right? Take down like. So, I guess that it is possible, but again, I guess from where I'm sitting, it's possible because we take action, right? And I'm not trying to make something special of us per se, right? I'm just making a point that in this case, no, it would actually be. I'm talking about doing it directly, right? Now, what's the other pathway? Because it almost seems to me like when this guy told me that they meet there all the time. They're always, meeting with President Trump to talk about child trafficking 28 times in a year.
Amazing.
That's pretty.
So every other week.
Every other week, yeah. Every other week you're going to the White House, and you start talking about now in this network, they have 62 million people in their email list, right? That get their information. They're connecting with other news sources and all stuff, right? And so I'm like, hey, so he's recommending us, and he's gonna, this is what we were told today. See how that holds up. But I expect it too. I expect, that's what I expected. That should happen. We put out consistently honest, accurate, and well documented and supported information. Right? That's what the news should be. Right? Now, if we were funded properly, we could deliver it a whole lot better. Right? Maybe grab some better looking people to deliver the message if that makes people feel comfortable. Whatever it is. Right? But I guess that's what I'm curious about is how do you break, because it doesn't seem like the mainstream media hasn't slowed down at all.
Well, I could say they have. I think that they've ground to a halt because all they do is repeat the same thing every day. Orange man bad. That's all they say. They don't say anything else. So they've ground to a halt.
But I mean, that's pretty much what they've been doing, I guess, is what I mean.
Yeah, but they're,
that's what they do, right?
But
that's their thing.
But it's the only thing they
just
do.
to repeat the same.
the only
information.
Yeah, but before they had like 20 themes. Now they have one. So they've ground to a halt. It's like there's no, even Fox. I mean, it's not just CNN and MSNBC and any of these others. It's really all of them. I can barely watch Fox on some of them except for Tucker. Sean Hannity, but the rest of them, it's just not really. It's kind of just so much like a soft-pedaled, leftism. It's like we have to be fair and balanced, right? But like, well, yeah, all right. This is not about fair and balance. It's not like hard position on this side and hard position on this side. This is like, well, let's soft pedal. Same as Robert David Steele, soft pedaling pedophiles. It's not right.
Right. And that's their. They look at emotion as a weakness, right? So you have, it's interesting. I actually today because I was talking to Lane and Lisa. They we were talking about this after this conversation. We were like, let's put together a broadcast that's a little more kind of user friendly, mainstream.
The small pink pill instead of a small red pill. It's kind of little. Yes. Just a little bit of a little red.
Yeah. So we did. I real quick we put together a little 15-minute broadcast just to share with them so they knew who we are.
Well, yeah, no, I think it's a good idea. As I said, when this stuff comes out and everyone's in denial and they really just can't handle it, there'll be a lot of people just in tears and crying because of their personal experience in life when they think back what happened, right? When they had an experience with CPC and someone disappeared, right? And that child was gone, right? They thought it fell into the legal morass, right? And there was no legal way to get it back because no one had enough money to fight the system, right? And the kid was just gone. But now, this changes that for all those people. So those people are going to have a really hard time. The people that lost children to the system, and they're going to want to react, right? And they're going to want to chase these people down. They're going to find them and take the pitchfork and stick it in them. Right. So,
sure.
So that's part of what part of this lockdown is about. That as well, giving people time to where they're not going to end up hurting themselves going out and doing things, right? Out of just insanity, right? The temporary insanity, because this will drive people insane. It's a mental psychotic break. This will occur to the strongest of people because of how horrible this is, right? And we have to allow people to the ability to talk about these things and listen, and don't say "I told you so," right? Don't make it like they were stupid, No, everybody was seduced by this system into thinking that it wasn't going on.
Right.
I didn't know.
That's a great point, Dan. I'll tell you. And by the way, I mean, every place I go, I'm from now on, I'm going to keep reminding people of this. Ho'oponopono. Right. Now, I got to look it up. I'm slack. Shania talks to me about this all the time. But this guy who was working on these criminal files, right near prison, right? And he was going through the files, and as he was going through them, he started to feel remorseful and regretful about things that the crimes took place both against prisoners and against that they committed, and he started doing ho'oponopono, right, for all of them. Right? He just started thinking, every time he's going through a process of, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you, right? And not just the words,
You're
just,
beautiful.
A genuine intent, right? Now, in this, he healed the whole prison. And that's what I was told, right? That's what I was told. So I'm sure I butchered that story, but I was told that just the intent of those feelings combined together, right,
yep,
was able to heal them. And these prisoners now, they're still there serving time, right? But they work for him, a lot of them, right? And they're very grateful. And they recognize, they're different people.
Yeah, a lot of people go down that road, right, because of the lack of love,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So they're why should I love anyone? Nobody loves me.
Yeah. Yep, that's exactly true. So, I think in addition to everything else, right? Now, the people are still going to have to do their time, right? People are still going to have to go to jail. People are still going to have to, be punished for these things and participating in them, right? But we shouldn't be punished as well, right? So holding feelings of anger and resentment, it doesn't punish anyone else but yourself, right? So I think it's really important to that Ho'oponopono. I think that's really a powerful principle.
Okay. So what about
I have a friend who started using that on everything in his life. He was able to go through all types of things in his whole life and really enable himself to kind of heal.
So what about these people that have taken the adrenochrome? What's their punishment?
Well, death, I think. I think death is also merciful to them.
Well,
right?
I think that's already been given to them, but it's slow and painful. It's a form of AIDS. I think that's the part of this plan is no one has to put them in trial and because they're all going to be within the year in hospice, right? They're going to deteriorate and just disappear.
Wow.
Right. That's the. I mean, ultimately, I mean, they have a death sentence, and they took it on themselves, right? They took this into their body. They willingly do it. They knew where it came from, the original natural stuff, and they were hooked on it. Now that they had to go for the synthetic.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, how dastardly of a plot is this, or is it actually a mercy? Because
I think it's both. It's
yeah.
it's the people in general. They know they've been injured this way, right? Now they're going to respond to all these people dying publicly, right? If that happens, Now, so if you're right and that happens, it's again, I think that's going to have a huge impact on just the psyche of people, right? Because they're going to see these people that they idolize and love and whatever, and not know why they're dying.
Yeah.
So, but once they find out, you're right. I think a lot of people just won't even believe it.
Let me share another screen with you. It's up here. This I'll switch over here. Another George magazine cover. Tom Hanks on the cover. Tom Hanks is a rocket scientist. A little NASA symbol on there. Looks like he's but it says here on the left side, "Sex in High Places." It's a headline for a different story, Monica Lewinsky's so-called life, right? But in the context of what's applying what happened in the past to what is happening now, this seems to go into place. And now also, I don't know if you saw this, and I'd have to find it, but Ellen gave a goodbye video on her Twitter. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, she says she's out for a walk, but along the way she said goodbye. Like, I mean, it was a final goodbye. Like, she's on the run. So,
wow.
I just the way I took it. Is she actually on the run, or was she, or were they picking her up? Because the implication was that there's another indictment that's coming for a big name. Everyone's thinking it's Tom Hanks, but maybe it's Ellen.
Well, I know that they have evidence on Ellen because she was collaborating with Hillary Clinton and the NSA, I believe, and she had said that she would do whatever it took, basically to bring down, the president. I know that was a ways back, right? So she's been part of the, the whole group there, and I'm really curious to see if real criminal charges are brought up against these different groups, right? Like if there's actually going to be, crimes. I mean, there's real crimes here committed. Are they going to be held accountable?
Yeah. Here, I got Ellen now. Rocking it here. Let me share it with you.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I decided to do what everybody's doing, which is walk outside instead of just being inside. I, like everybody, am feeling stir crazy and anxious and wondering what's going to happen and how long this is going to last. So I just wanted to say, stay safe, pay attention to what they're telling us to do, and this will pass much faster if we all listen to what our smart people are telling us to do. And I mean the smart people.
Like Jim Comey?
Goodbye. Exercise. Take care of yourself during this time.
So I think she was referring to Jim Comey.
Yeah, I mean, it's smart people is code for intelligence agencies.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So anyway, I that sounded like a final goodbye to me, right?
Me too.
And that she's because Comey just kind of like was saying the same thing, right? Going for a walk out the tunnel, right into the light, and where's
Right, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Right, and then so
Wow.
Ellen is saying, she's outside, she's going for a walk. Goodbye. Listening to the smart people. Yeah, we'll all be okay if we listen to the smart people. Run, Forrest, run.
So I wonder if it is like AIDS, right? And it becomes a massive depletion of your white blood cells, your T cells, or whatever, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
But maybe it's faster, right? Like an expedited version of AIDS.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why she's like, she's outside walking. She's like, I'm not going to stay inside anymore. Because it seems to me like if that was the case, they might be. I had a friend who had a rare blood disease, and his rare blood disease actually made it so. I mean, he could hardly be around us, right? Like he constantly had to wash his hands all the time. Any little thing would send him into, it was just like AIDS. It was like he had. I mean, just like AIDS, it was even more aggressive. So that's kind of what this reminds me of. I'm curious to see if that's. Just watch it all play out. Yeah.
Well, it's. I really don't see this happening this way, but I really don't want this to be shift. Just they all just die, right? And everyone gets replaced, and they really just go ahead and wipe out all of the cabal, but they don't inform us what happened. They don't have the political guts to make to basically allow the people to go through the experience, right? Thinking it's too harmful. Yeah, it is. It's going to hurt. But if we don't get to experience what was going on to us, it's just like you said, right? We might not feel the pain anymore, but it kills us in the end because it just comes back with a vengeance. We have to know what happened. All of us have to know. We can't spend the next 3 generations, fighting this left-right paradigm, liberal, conservative baloney, right? And that's all that's going to happen unless we know. what's been going on. We have to break this paradigm. We can't keep going along with it. So that means we have to analyze and know what happened. Can't be hidden. We're adults. We can hide it from the children until they're adults, and then we can let them know about the great purge that took place along with the Great Awakening.
Right.
You know, the Great Awakening
And
and the Great Purge.
it'll be a very dark, I mean, when this is retold, and honestly, it'll be like this was a very dark time in the history of humanity.
Yeah, the Dark
You know,
Ages. You know, I'm sorry, but you know, in the catacombs under France, they have those millions and millions of skulls. That's like the cities of. Has this happened already before, or was it part of the same thing, the same cult doing the same things, and it didn't get stomped out back then? You know, it just kept going, and now we have 10 million skulls under New York.
Right.
You know, so we have to really go through this and how horrible it is, but we have to be able to help each other, because the people that are not awake to this, they're going to have the hardest time. The ones that are awake are going to have a horrible time.
Yeah. I mean, so I really want to see if these next 2 weeks, right, is what Trump said, they're going to be really difficult. But it's not just because people are stir crazy, right? He's talking about real information being shared that's going to be hard to digest, right? So, guess we'll see, man. I'm anxiously anticipating every day. So.
Yeah. Well, I wish you luck in your journey.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, call Dan up. Ask if he'll go with you.
Absolutely.
All right. All right, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow. Take a deep breath, and let's face it together. See you tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Subscribe.
All right.
Share.